Dr. Keith here, an occasional series of interviews with special guests, and I've got a very special one here today. This is on the subject of cancer, and I want to introduce you to my friend Marcus Freudenman. I know a lot of you as subscribers already know him. In fact, some of you are, sharers both our list. You're fans of both of us, as it were. But I want to tell those of you that don't know Marcus that he's a very special person in this sense. He's not a medical doctor, and yet he knows more about certain medical conditions than any doctor I've ever... Listen, I learn things from him. When we sit down at breakfast or lunch and we talk, he keeps saying things, and I realise there's holes in my knowledge too. And I think you're a glowing example, Marcus, of a phenomenon where the people involved, the so-called specialists, the scientists, are so narrow, blinkered, they can't see anything, that a complete outsider can look into their territory and say, no, you're doing this all wrong. And
I wouldn't say that.
Well, this is the kind of picture that's emerging. I mean, you've now evolved a protocol. It's called Truly Heal, and in fact Marcus and I were sitting down in a park in London last year doing a video recording when Marcus suddenly hit on this idea of a movement. We're going to do a Truly Heal movement. And, true to your word, you've actually formulated that, and he's touring the United States right now. That's why he's here in my home in Las Vegas, crossing and crisscrossing all over the States. So I'm going to grill him about what this means. And basically, what I've seen, it's very exciting, is that it's actually a total health program. It's not just an anti-cancer program, but my feeling, all health measures are anti-cancer measures, right?
Yeah.
But tell us a little bit about the evolution of this, Marcus. How did you come by? I mean, you've got a vast store of knowledge. I know it began with interviewing people all over planet Earth, didn't it?
Yeah.
Well, it's grown from there till you're now the specialist, the leader.
No.
No, I think you're a thought leader. Be honest, and you don't need to be humble here. We don't do humble in my house.
Okay, good. Well, we've been traveling for 2.5 years around the world and interviewed pretty much every single expert on cancer that we could find. And it was quite revealing. There is similarities, there is complete oppositions, there is a lot of controversy, there is a lot of battling against each other. There is a kind of a dynamic in that alternative cancer field which is quite disturbing. And when we made the movie, I was pretty new to it. So Cancer is Curable Now was the movie at that stage. We now released the second edition under Truly Heal, and it has a lot more features. It has a lot more clarity because we'll all learn. So I went through the learning process. But one of the things that became very evident to me is that there is a lot of people that have parts of the knowledge and they ignore many other areas. And that's very evident when you travel to different countries. Like if you go to Germany, they have one part of the knowledge so finely tuned and so much knowledge about that, which is not even available in America. And then you come to America, they have a lot of dietary issues and dietary and detoxification really tuned fine. Germans have never heard about that. And that's worldwide. So as we traveled through all the Asian countries, Indian countries, and Europe and Mexico and Canada and America, and all of a sudden we realized that there is partial truth that are very, very rarely combined into one program. We all know that there is a mental problem to cancer, stress. And no matter which kind of stress causes it, whether it's a relationship stress, money stress, health stress, work stress, any stress that is consistent, emotional, suppressing yourself, like
self-doubt and devaluing yourself.
Self-devaluation, exactly. So when they happen, you cause such an emotional stress to yourself that the whole healing is blocked. And that's something that we know is true, and we know that there are certain fractions, like German New Medicine, proclaim that as the problem of cancer. Then you will find others that proclaim it's a metabolic disease, which is true in many cases. And then you have others, which is a fungus, and then you have all the viral infections, and all of them are true. And all of them only treat their own protocol instead of looking in a very holistic way at individual patients and look what is wrong with you. And that's where I met actually my main mentor, Dr. Rao, and he was amazing because he does that.
Shall we say who Dr. Rao is?
Yeah, in Paracelsus in Switzerland.
Yeah.
And Paracelsus Clinic, a really stunning clinic, unfortunately booked out for a month and really, really hard to get into. But a stunning clinic, and Dr. Rao has a protocol that inspired me, and he became my first mentor in putting the Truly Heal protocol together in really working through all the different entities that are necessary to find out what's wrong with that individual person, whether it's fungal overgrowth or mold, or whether it's a virus, or whether infections, whether it's tick bites, borreliose or Lyme disease, you call it here.
Yeah.
All of those things, and he goes through the DNA values, all your metabolism, all your fat metabolism, all your DNA structure in regards to detoxification. He covers every aspect.
Can I pull a principle out of this for the viewers? And you were saying to me, there's lots of nice books there about alternative and holistic cancer treatments, and it's just like that one and that one and that one and that one. There's no system or plan, and what you're talking about here is that you have to have a customized plan. You have to begin with the diagnosis and the investigation stage. It's no good saying, oh, I'll do homeopathy, or oh, I'll do the Gerson program, or I'll do this. You need to figure out what's wrong. So make that clear for the viewers, Willie, because I found that a very fundamental point.
Well, it is. Keith has just put it perfectly on the spot. The main issue is to find out what is wrong with you, and if it's toxins, then you deal with toxins. Then the juicing might be a part of the detoxification, and the coffee enemas might be a part of it. But what kind of toxins? Is it water-soluble toxins? Is it fat-soluble toxins? Is it heavy metal toxicity? Is it mental toxicity? Is it emotional toxicity? We need to really fine-tune to find out where the problem is and then resolve that with the adequate treatments. And that's what we've done. The Gerson protocol has stunning features in it. The Kelly program with pancreatic enzymes has great value. The German hypothermia with fever therapy is one of the most amazing tools, but none works generally for everybody, and that's why you have people going for the treatment, and after 3 weeks, after $30,000 spent, no results, because they haven't resolved the problem. And that can be dental issues, that can be a viral infection, that can be anything.
It can be a screwed up life, yeah.
Exactly, emotional. So fine-tuning that evaluation was our first goal, and it was really interesting. Like, we came to 2 clinics, Dr. Rao, and he said, Marcus, you know a lot of things that I haven't heard of. And actually, that's my main problem. A lot of patients come in and tell me, why don't you do this? Why don't you do that? Could you do a favor to me and work out a protocol that will help me to find out what is valid, what works, and what doesn't? And I told that to some other doctors, and they said, I'm in. I pay for your fee. I really would like to have that too. So that's how the whole Truly Heal program actually started.
Right.
It was contracted work by clinics and doctors that wanted us to check out what works globally and how can we build that into one program. And that's the Truly Heal program.
Right.
So it covers every aspect.
Isn't it? It's an educational program. You educate the patients on the issues and what they understand, and then you have to educate the physicians so they go about it the right way.
Yeah.
And I think what you've come up with is amazing. I mean, just take one example. We were talking at lunch about people having a purpose, having a reason to live. Who's going to get cured or healed of anything if they want to die or get fed up of life? Tell us about that, because it's a big issue, isn't it?
I have a new client that filled out the form. We have a long questionnaire, 200 question questionnaire. To become part of any program, you need to go through that, and then that's evaluated. And when you read his chart through, there is not that much of a health issue. The main issue is, how can I kill my wife? How do I get rid of my son? And how can I exploit my boss at work? There is too many things in disorder. There is no more purpose in life. Everything is complicated. Everything is stressed. And that has happened about 3 to 4 years ago, that everything fell apart. Different meaning of life, different interest, which they never fulfilled. And if that is not repaired, if there is no passion for life, if there is no reason, then no matter what kind of treatment you do, you won't get that person back on track. And this is where we do the program in a very different way. We don't start just physical analysis and then we give iodine deficiency or laetrile deficiency or Prozac deficiency or whatever. We just don't deal with the physical problem. We start from the purpose first. And this is a very interesting fact, because when you deal with the spiritual entity of a person first, you can find the energy. I call that the fuel. When you have no fuel, you can have the most magnificent car, you won't get anywhere. Even if your driver has the best attitude, you won't get anywhere. Fuel is needed, and that's the purpose that we find, and we resolve all the challenges in life to make that purpose active. And then we go into a resolution of mental conflicts. If I say, I don't get well, I won't get well, and I have a program in myself that negates getting well, then nothing works. If I have emotional trauma, relationship trauma, all of that, nothing will work. So we resolve those issues. Then we look at lifestyle habits, everything to do with what you do every day. Now you can do every day like me, drinking your almond fresh egg smoothie, and you get bad, and you deteriorate, and your health goes down, and you think to do the best thing because it's a habit. It's an unconscious destruction of your life. So we look at all lifestyle habits, dietary habits, sleeping habits, breathing habits, lifestyle habits, whether you live in a toxic environment at home. All of those things are taken care of in the habit, in the vital area. And then as the last stage, we look at your health. And usually when you resolve from the outside in, when you get to the physical body responds like a child, like a really open vessel to any treatment.
Like a yes.
Yes, because there is a reason to
yes.
give well.
That should be a motto. You've got to get to yes.
Yeah.
And when you get to yes, the healing can start.
But it's true. We had patients that came in, that were there in the clinic the second, third time, and they don't have progressed. They keep the cancer at bay, but it doesn't really disintegrate. It doesn't vanish. And as we went through the program and we really built up that around that environment around it, and we put all the things into place, and then you kick the emotional trauma away, and all of a sudden all treatments respond. And you can see a tumor, and we had that just in the last retreat, baseball size shrink down to scar tissue in 3 weeks. That was amazing to see. And it only happened once we resolved the emotional conflict with the father.
Mm-hmm. Great, yeah.
Just a simple thing.
All right, tell us about something physical, like the DNA testing, for example. I mean, that totally it describes how this patient is going to react to any given treatment, doesn't it? Yeah. And if you give the wrong treatment to the wrong person, you're practically killing them, never mind not helping them.
There is a beautiful concept about taking a shotgun, cutting off the barrel, and shooting into the forest, and hopefully you kill a rabbit. That's what general medicine, one size fits all, does. When you go to most of the clinics, they have a fixed program, and then you enter that program, and whether you fit or not is really by luck. When you do, for example, a DNA test, before you start anything in regards to your supplementation, you can probably reduce your list of 100 supplements down to 15, 20, and fine-tune them to do exactly what you need them to do. A lot of people have serious problems with inflammation. Inflammation is, as we know, one of the main triggers of cancer and one of the contributing factors that it doesn't go away. So reducing inflammation is the first thing. If you have an impairment in your DNA that stops that, like in my case, I can't reduce inflammation. It takes me days what other people do in 2 hours because my DNA is damaged in that field, which means I need additional supplements and support to be able to do that. My body just doesn't have the ability. I don't produce the enzymes to do that. So certain supplements will help increase that dramatically. Certain foods will help that. That's why it's called nutrigenomic. Nutrition that affects the genome. It's not DNA damage like the BRCA1 or BRCA2, which is damaged. It's actually the epigenetic model. I eat food and I do lifestyle to change the DNA expression. And that's in methylation process. If you can't methylate, you take a lot of folate or B12, which is non-methylated, you create a folate block, which causes cancer. Now that's not good if you want to resolve cancer. Plus, the methylation process doesn't work, which means your myelin sheath of the nerve is not repaired. Your whole composure, your mental exposure is going into depression and stress just because methylation doesn't work. Your detoxification pathways are stopped. Your glutathione production doesn't work. Your gut repair and detox in the gut doesn't work just because of the methylation problem.
Right.
It's very easy. You buy methylated B12 if you have that, and you use that, and you use some additional supplements, and all of a sudden you repair that whole process. Patients improve mentally, emotionally, in their nervous structure, in their adrenal fatigue, within 2 weeks, a visible transformation and change just from resolving that one issue. And that's something that, takes shotgun medicine into a rifle and a really targeted
and a
medicine.
telescopic sight. Yeah, let me just say something to this issue as well, because I differ from a lot of holistic people in saying if you want to go the conventional route, if you want to do chemo, you're scared and you want to, I honor that. It's your choice, right? And there's holistic people have no right saying that's stupid, you know, chemo will kill you. I still think I'd prefer you didn't. There are many good methods, but if you want to do it. But it can be dangerous. If you've not had a proper DNA profile, you don't know whether that chemo is, whether your body can even detox it. It might be in your body for years to come, or just accumulate and really be very, you know, just speak to that for a moment.
I think you can blend in an image. I'll give you the chart of Wayne.
Yeah.
It really is one of the classic examples. We have detox phase 1 and detox phase 2 in our liver, which means everything that you put on cream, every medication that you take, everything you eat is absorbed into the bloodstream and then is filtered in the liver and washed out. All the toxins are broken down in detox phase 1 into water-soluble toxins, and then they are transported into detox phase 2 where they're eliminated out of the body via bile and bowel. And that's a simple process if it all works. Now if you take medication, and that's what we call pharmacogenomics, you take medication, and to have a medication approved by the FDA, they need to prove exactly what pathways in the liver this medication is broken down into and how it's eliminated from the body. They know exactly how that works. Right. But they also know that about 50% of our population has detox phase 1 or detox phase 2, or in worst case scenarios, both phases completely impaired. A friend of mine, a very, very dear friend of mine, he was a cancer patient who had a coaching with me, and we became best friends. And it was really beautiful. And I helped him 8 years with colon, bowel, lung, bone, and pancreatic cancer. 8 years. And we had the DNA test done, and it showed that all his detox pathways were completely impaired. All of them. Detox phase 1 didn't work, and detox phase 2 was 85% eliminated, which means his whole life, no matter what he did, he accumulated more and more toxins until it overflows. And the overflow is then the symptom which we call cancer. So his body just couldn't handle more toxins. When he went through the treatment of ongoing detoxification, he really did well. Saunas, bath, all of that. And then he got into a panic because one of the cancers grew. And the doctor said it just really made him panic. And he said, if we don't do it today, if we don't start chemotherapy, you will not make it. And so he did one treatment, one single chemotherapy treatment, and he passed away of the side effects. And that's something that we should know. If you have children that you want to vaccinate, I'm not saying vaccination is generally bad. It's very bad, but it's not generally bad. It's actually a great idea. But the principle is, if your child cannot detoxify the medication that is injected, then it will develop side effects, seizures, problems, autism. All of those things are known to be caused by the chemical cocktail that is injected, and then it cannot be broken down. We're making at the moment a second documentary about autism, and I can tell you out of 15 children, 12 have detox pathways so impaired that it's obvious that that was the main cause. And there is actually, the American government pays a few $1 million to people who'd sued them, and now you can't sue them anymore. They gave clean bill to Monsanto and to all the vaccination companies. But it was actually proven as a fact that this was the cause. So knowing those things in advance, actually having the test done, knowing whether your body can deal with it or not, will make a huge difference in the choice of the programs, because there is plenty of programs that you can use. We have in total something like 16 very, very powerful cancer treatment programs, and you're only offered 2, chemo and radiation, whereas there is many more. And if you have detox pathway problems, you really need to focus on other avenues.
Okay, now I'm going to ask you about devices in a minute. We can keep talking about this. But for those who are watching, tell them, what do they do? How does the program work? How do they join? What, you know...
You're talking now about the Truly Heal program or the DNA program?
The Truly Heal program, and somebody has got family or themselves, they're frightened, they're in distress and don't know where to turn, what the real information is, trust me, is there on the Truly Heal website. So how do they, what do they do?
The very first thing, you subscribe to our newsletter. You click on the link that Keith has underneath and you subscribe to our newsletter. That will keep you up to date with everything we're doing. You will be amazed. Within the next 4 weeks, you're going to have mega loads of information and really powerful information, all for free. The second thing, if you would like to meet with us while we are on tour in America, and this is where I would like you to come to Texas, because Keith will be there, and Bill Henderson might be there, so it really will be a very high profile. Dr. Kotsanis will be there, so we will have a really stunning workshop, and that's where we do the Truly Heal 2.5-day program. This is an outstanding program because it will blow your mind. We go through everything, and I showed Keith the chart, and he might be able to put that underneath. We cover all of the different areas and how they're treated and how we approach them. What needs to be done in which area to resolve a problem. Like if Keith would have fungal problems, how to resolve that. If he would have DNA problems, how to resolve that. If there is a toxic overload, how to do that. We cover every aspect that contributes to cancer. And let me just say that again. None of you will have cancer because of a single reason. It's always contributing factors, and in the end, it's too much for your body to deal with it. So as soon as you relieve one after the other and you deal, and we actually create a priority list of most important, most evident, most associated with your cancer, and then we start to resolve one after the other, and every single patient we have says, with every problem that goes away, I feel 10 times better. And food sensitivities is one of the big ones. Mm-hmm. So it really is important, and that's where I would like you to join. There are several programs, some free in San Francisco. There is some talks at universities in San Francisco at the Commonwealth Club. Yeah. If you go to the website, the link is underneath. Just simply click on it and you'll be taken to the event page, and you can enroll there. There is free events, 1-day events, and 2.5-day events. And the 2.5 days is real the kick.
Mm-hmm. Now, you can hear just how passionate and excited Marcus is, and quite rightly so. But I want to make this point. We're talking science, all right? You hear things like evidence-based medicine and scientific, and usually, to be honest, it's complete baloney. It's a front for what they're doing and a justification. This is all science-based, it's evidence-based, it's based on tests and what pathways and what procedures you should follow. Totally scientific. I give it my 100% backing in that sense. Okay, let's just go and talk about another aspect then. That you've got some nice fancy tools, electronic toys and things. Well, I shouldn't say toys because some of them are extremely powerful and effective. Tell us about those, starting with, I don't know, the hypothermia machine, for example.
Yeah, well, that makes it pretty difficult because I'm happy to talk about them, and I'm extremely passionate about my toys, which aren't toys. They are really, and we've done a lot of research. If you look at, for example, our PMF devices, I tested over 20 with patients in the clinic over a 1-year program with individual patients, following up and seeing how their tumors reduced. Absolutely amazing. I don't sell very lightheartedly, as we say. I'm not joining any multi-level marketing programs. I'm really dedicated in finding the best value. And you can buy a machine which has no value whatsoever, and we had no clinical evidence, for $5,000. And you can buy one that we've proved and checked, which is used in 10 clinics, for $4,000, and it has 10 times the value. So I've done a lot of research in all my equipment, and always based on doctors, what they do, what experience they have in blood analysis, in everything. So all the toys and tools that we have are listed on our website, and you can go through. You will also find that every single one that we talk about has a practical video how to use it, how patients use it, how we use it or explain it in workshops, what doctors say about it, how they use it in the clinic. Like there is always a series of 6-7 videos, because I don't want you to buy just because hearsay or because you have another gadget. I want you to be able to use this tool in the biggest and most evident manner. And one of the things really is important. Patients that live in Australia or in America have huge restrictions. I actually have to say it's shocking what kind of restrictions you have in how little is allowed or officially allowed if you are not living in Nevada. But it's Chicago is a shocker. Not even microscopy is allowed. So for me, that was like a big understanding why Americans are so set back in that. It's actually legal problems. But when you have a treatment in Germany and you realize it works really well, what we've done is we've given you so much education, so much clarity, that when you use the tool, you can actually replicate what those clinics in Germany do. And that's not a substitute for a doctor. It's not a substitute for treatment. It's just when you know what you do, you can enhance your life. You can enhance your immune system. You can detoxify very easily. And that's what those tools are for. We don't sell any one of those tools as a cure, but with a very specific effect that it has for you to beat cancer or to beat fibromyalgia or to beat chronic fatigue or to do anything, because all of those diseases are actually treated in the same way.
Right. Okay. Now we're coming towards the end of this talk, and it's fascinating. We could go on for hours, but there's one marker that you're not mentioning. Well, you did actually. You mentioned it indirectly, but there's one really good health marker I teach. How you feel.
Yeah.
if 4 weeks later you feel wonderful and life's coming back on stream, that's the best treatment you've got. And I must say, what impresses me so much about the Truly Heal program is it's emphatically a whole health program for anybody, for everybody. You don't wait till you get cancer. Get on it now and solve your life. And a particular group of people I'd like to appeal to and suggest it to you. Those of you with psychiatric problems and disturbances, or friends and family that you know, point them in this direction, because I would say 99% of, if not 100%, but certainly 99% of so-called psychiatric illness, it's really physical things that are impacting on the person, how they feel, what their energy levels, how they think and compute mentally. If your brain is screwed up with a food allergy or a heavy metal overload, life never can seem good. So you may be diagnosed as depression and given some more chemicals to overload you even further. It's really a whole life program for every person, and particularly if you've got psychiatric problems. It's a must. It's the single biggest thing missing in medicine, I feel. I mean, cancer, obviously we're passionate about, you especially, but I'm also passionate about mental illness. It's disgustingly overtreated, abused. People are virtually tortured it's like a punishment. Yeah. Serves you right for being psychiatrically ill. Yeah.
I have to say that was one of the things that I didn't see in the beginning. Like we all start out on a journey and we all make our way and we learn a bit here and a bit there. And Charlotte Gersten said to me very nicely, Marcus, if you remove cancer, all other diseases vanish long before. They just disappear. And at that stage I thought, it's just one of those big talks. And it's true. You wouldn't believe when we have clients come in, they have acne, they have shrinkles, they have hanging face, they have depressions, they have bad mood, they are very snappy and aggressive. You wouldn't believe when cancer patients come, and I always say cancer is the final breakdown of the immune system. So it's really the end stage where your system just collapses. So when you start at any given moment earlier than already with your diagnosis, then it's always a lot easier. But every single client that comes in has mental, emotional, stress problems, and they go through the program, and within 2 weeks, when you do before and after observation, they're completely transformed people. When we go, we do excursions to castles and to lakes and to all those German sightseeing museums. But we do that as a bonding trip. We do that as a group dynamic. And you see them in the beginning dragging along and in pain and suffering and miserable and complaining about everything. And in the second week, when we do that, they are laughing, they're giggling, they're enjoying. In the third week, you would hardly recognize those people, completely transformed.
Yeah, that's a great note to finish. Okay, we'll edit this out. Yeah. We'll finish anyway.
Yeah.
Well, it's been a great journey. It's a great place to finish, Marcus, and it's wonderful to listen to you. I mean, you're an entertaining phenomenon, never mind an educational phenomenon. This guy's amazing. Listen, get to his website, trulyheal.com. All the links are under you'll find them on this page and across the video if you're on YouTube. Just check it out. You really could do no better. Thanks very much for watching.
See you soon.